On my wedding night, I couldn't sleep. I heard whispers coming from my mother-in-law's room. I thought I was imagining things, until I recognized her voice. She was my bridesmaid. On my wedding night, when I awoke in that cold bed, it seemed as if nothing had been put right. The satin sheets were smooth, the pillows in place, as if no one had ever been there. But I knew. The sounds coming from that hallway, light, unfinished breaths, suppressed laughter. I stood in the doorway, feeling a rose petal under my shoe, as if I'd just dismissed it from work. Half an hour ago, when I entered this room, the marriage still seemed pure and secure. Now that purity was cracked, a dark secret seeping through. I crept into the hallway, my bare feet silently testing the wooden floor. Light in this part of the house came only from the old wall lamp, and the shadows were strange. You know, as if they were taking the shapes of things that weren't really there. Maybe I'm just dreaming, I thought. Maybe the old pipes in this house are screaming. But then the sounds came again. Closer, clearer. A woman's voice, along with a man whose name I knew very well, was saying, "Calm down." The way she said it, in that voice I recognized so well, made my stomach clench. When I pressed my ear against the cold surface of the wall, I wanted to leave and go back. I didn't. How does a girl know which one to choose? Life never teaches us that what we think are choices are actually tests. I'm known as Victoria Chen, 28, interior designer, an extremely meticulous planner. I've organized my life chronologically, marking important dates with color printers. My wedding day had been marked in red on the calendar for 8 months. But no calendar had predicted this night, and no color printer had ever recorded this secret. Marcus and I met 3 years ago. Or rather, I'd call it a meeting. We ran into each other at a gala event for a Black organization. I mentioned his speaking time slot, and he listened to me. Listening was a rare occurrence for me back then. Most men did the talking. Marcus chose to learn. "Can I help you?" he asked, then slightly raised his chin. "It felt like I was waiting for you." "Am I waiting?" I repeated, raising my eyebrows. "The world is preparing to get to know you," he said simply. I like to see it as a man. It was a really gentle start. Our first date was at a coffee shop. Not some fancy, upscale place with hair behind the counter, but a real place. We talked. We talked for weeks. Friendship, then interest, then a kind of love relationship. And those kinds of relationships aren't exactly porcelain. Proof. They're like glass, and when they shatter, it's much louder. Marcus only met my best friend Sienna 4 months later. When they saw each other at an event, a library opening, he called me and said, "Your friend is a map. And the map seems like a lot of fun. Mention Sienna?" Sienna is 28, a design consultant. She works in companies and design like me, but she earns much better money. She's the center of attention. With her red lipstick, she's so happy. Everyone wants to be her friend. Do you recognize people like that inside you? The kind who make the world look brighter around you? Sienna was the same for me. My life has become more vibrant since I met her. "Marcus loves you so much," she told me one day, sitting over my coffee. "Can you believe it?" "Has he ever told you?" "He said it," I said, but not exactly in the way it was meant to be. When Marcus talked about me, he didn't use those words. He put on a show. But Sienna's face didn't have that kind of expression that ended the questioning. She just knew. 2 years later, Marcus knelt down. He chose to do it in the transparent space of the library's roof before sunset. His ring was simple but beautiful. Not a diamond, a purple stone, a sapphire. To me, it was a defined choice. "I want to spend years with you," he said. "I want to see the world become more colorful with you." "Yes," I said. "Yes, yes, yes." Sienna knew it first. I took it and told her right away, and I looked to see if I could see how she was pulling at the back of her head. When I looked at her, I felt something very strange in her eyes. Anxiety? Fear? Not good. But then she smiled, and that anxiety disappeared, replaced by exhilaration. "Show me your house," she said. "We'll do a hair and joy dance." We chose a farmhouse under enormous trees, a stone structure mimicking luxurious palaces, with observation decks on the front veranda. Marcus said, "This is like a dream," and I said, "This will be our dream." Sienna became obsessively preoccupied with organizing the wedding. We argued for 2 weeks about the tables, the menu decisions, the flowers, the lace, the flowers. She wanted a garden wedding. I wanted a minimalist indoor setting. Finally, we compromised. An outdoor ceremony, an indoor reception. Ideal. Marcus also had a way, Sienna said one day, while talking about the tables. "I want to see how his hair looks at the wedding." I didn't understand what that expression meant at the time. I understand it now, but it's too late. The night before the wedding, the house was very quiet and very crowded. Families were milling around, finding rooms, looking for coffee. I was doing a test run at the reception, checking the floral decorations. I hadn't seen Sienna for hours. Then Marcus came to me secretly. "Sienna has migraines," he said. "They're severe. She wants to get away for a while to catch a cold." It seemed consistent. Sienna sometimes complains of severe pain. She tilts her head to the side, her fingers clench. I said, "Get well soon," and moved on. A mistake? Yes, maybe so. Hours passed. The night slowly grew deeper. Marcus went to check on the rooms, and I slept in the bridal room, alone, leaving the sheets and toothbrushes on the bed. When morning came, the sun shone directly through the window. My white dress hung there like a ghost. The makeup artist arrived at 8 o'clock. My mother held my hair. Everything went to reception, and I looked in the mirror. Transforming into someone I didn't recognize. Started at 4 o'clock, and Marcus looked amazing. Genuinely so. His eyes were sparkling, and he wasn't looking at me in a contrived way, even though he wasn't looking at me in a formal manner. He was just looking at me. "You're incredible," he whispered at the beginning of the ceremony. "You changed my life." An hour later, it was just us and the reception orchestra again. Our first dance, the steps I'd learned, my choice of music. "I live and die with you," he said to me. I could feel his heart pounding beneath his vest. The reception went very well. Sienna was doing her best woman job. She gave a speech. What did she say about him? A lot. But the way someone said it is also telling, maybe. "Marcus loves you very much," she said, and I heard that. Throughout the night, Marcus moved away from me a few times, to liven up a troubled storyline, to say something to the DJ. It's normal in marriages. Everyone does it. "Midnight," he said. "You look very tired, baby. Go upstairs. I'll find you when I've sorted things out." To Sienna, I asked him if he had any problems. He said, "Okay, you can sleep now. I'll be all right." The first room had rose petals and champagne waiting for us. It was perfect. Cold room, clean sheets, door locked. But Marcus didn't come. An hour passed. 2 hours. At 2:47, my heart started racing. Not adrenaline, but fear. No phone, no messages, just empty space. Around the middle. The sounds from outside the hallway, laughter, music, had subsided. The house had become quieter. Then I heard it. A faint voice. A woman's voice. A man's voice answered. He pressed his name. Marcus. My name, my own name. My body froze. The source of the sound. The room at the far end of the hallway. One of the guest rooms. How would my girlfriend know who was in the room with the door closed? I walked slowly. Each step was agony. I had taken off my shoes, my bare feet clattering on the wooden floor. The sound grew louder, breathing quickened. The world stopped. Did I really hear that? I listened again. Silence, then, "Quick, quick," the girl's voice whispered. "Don't make so much noise, the door will open." That voice, that very familiar voice. The one I hear every morning in my shower. The way she says, "Good morning, beautiful," yet that voice. Sienna's voice. The door appeared ajar. Warmth, light, and familiar figures emanated from within. I closed my eyes, but I listened. I didn't push. I listened. The bed creaked. Breaths rose and fell. Marcus whispered softly, "So much, my girl. So much, my girl. Who knows, what if he saw me playing like this?" Sienna said, "All these months." "Let's not talk about it now," Marcus said. "We'll talk about it later." Then months. The room started spinning. It felt like everyone was suspended in midair. A dream, not real. But the light was real, the heat was real, and the silence, that too was real. I was real. The door suddenly burst open. Marcus stepped out, his shirt unbuttoned, his hair disheveled, his eyes fixed on me. Then he closed them. "Oh my God," he said. Sienna appeared at the door. The sheet wrapped around her body. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw something very clearly. Guilt, yes, but something else. Success. It was as if she had defeated me. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Marcus ran towards me. "Victoria, please." "Months?" I whispered in such a heavy voice that I could see he was frightened by my tone. "All these months?" "I thought it wasn't anything in itself," Marcus said, his feet running. "Sienna just, I laughed. A broken laugh. "Just your best friend, my wedding dress, the dream I built, my trust. Sienna made a sound. "Victoria, please." "Don't call out to me," I said in a cold voice. "Act as if you've never been silent." Finally, you were silent. I gripped the left wall for support. Standing in the back of that room, on my wedding night, in my dress, my hair slicked back, my makeup applied, I realized I had lost more than anyone closest to me. A man and a woman. "Why did he do it with you?" I asked Marcus. He didn't answer. "Why with you, Sienna?" "Because," she said in a low voice, "I was so happy looking at you. And I don't know." She didn't stop. "Perhaps happiness with you was a mistake." Her sentence wasn't finished. But I finished it, in my mind, because I, Victoria Chen, didn't just receive a betrayal on my wedding night. I received a choice. The choice of which life I wanted to take. I turned my head and walked back to the bridal room. I took off my wedding dress and stuffed it into the sack. I wiped some of the lipstick off my face, not all, just a little. I called my father. "I'm ready," I said. "Take me?" At a certain point, it was no longer possible to simply let things unfold naturally. Questions began to arise spontaneously. As answers were delayed, uncertainty grew. This uncertainty forced me to reorganize my thinking. I was no longer accepting every piece of information at face value. The difference between what was being said and what was visible was striking. This difference suggested there was a deeper reason. I stepped back to understand what was happening. This distance allowed me to see the picture more clearly, and I realized the process was more complex than it appeared. As my father's car silently made its way down the gravel road, I looked out the window and realized I could see nothing. The night was dark. The trees black silhouettes, the road a single lane of light, just like mine. "Do you want to talk?" my father asked. His voice was cautious, like that of people approaching something broken. "No," I said. Silence. The radio was amplified. Jazz music, duos, notes conversing with each other. It was painfully beautiful. My father felt he had to break the silence. "Marcus is an idiot," he finally said. "I want him to know that." I smiled, but there was no happiness in it. Just a twitch of muscle. "Is Sienna stupid too?" "That's worse," my father said. "He chose you. He made that choice." That was true, but being true didn't help. It was like choosing between breaking a leg and cutting off a leg. In the end, you get both. When I got back home, I was like a different person. I'm not saying that because I want to be dramatic. I'm saying that because that night changed me, mechanically. Cellularly, spiritually, whichever you prefer. I called my mother this morning. "The wedding has been canceled," I said. "What does it mean?" "What I mean is, it's over. It's finished. It's gone." The silence on the phone is louder than the silence face to face. "Baby, what happened?" "Later," I said. Was it a lie? Later never came. I stayed home for a week. Nobody came. My father had told my mother, and my mother had told others. A conflict had arisen within my own social circle's safety net. Some people supported Marcus, because men support men, no doubt about it. Others supported Sienna, because maybe she had problems in her relationship. I had no one to support me. So I supported myself. There have been meetings with lawyers. The annulment process, yes, is still ongoing. Accountants, legal options, where the money is going. Marcus's lawyer, my God, was acting like I was the culprit. Not because he was being unfair, but because he was talking about these badly timed disagreements things. "Is it a dispute?" I told my client's lawyer. "Is it a dispute that someone other than me stayed in my husband's bed?" As a technician, they were only married for about a week, the lawyer said. In some states, that doesn't count. I was going to crack, but I didn't. I just sat, listened, and signed. In Richmond, I went. Everyone understood. Leaving seemed logical, not just physically, but symbolically too. New place, new step, leaving the old me behind. The office was small, but the quality of work was good. My first job was to redesign the home of a teacher who was also a business owner. I asked him what color his home was. "Blue," he said. "But a light blue, not a bold one." I understood that. I couldn't tolerate bold colors anymore. July, Sienna called me. 3 months later. The phone jingled in my pocket, and I gasped when I saw her name. "Victoria," he said. "Please tell me which one. Don't lift it up." "I'm hanging up," I said, and I did. 5 minutes later, the message arrived. It was very long. Apologies, genuine apologies. She just didn't know the girl. That things had been going wrong with Marcus for a long time. and she felt devastated and she had a question for me. Please let her speak just once. I couldn't delete the message. I realized that. I should have deleted it, but I didn't. In April, I went to an event in Richmond to see the fashion at a runway show. Whether it was organized or not, I went. My friends, new friends, real friends, were all around me. I looked at the photos that night, and the smiles were real, sincere, strange, yet real. When I got home, there was a LinkedIn notification on my phone. Marcus had followed the World's Best Interior Design Projects category. It wasn't related to mine, just the category itself, but he'd followed it anyway. Did it seem that embarrassing? Were we jealous that he was following her, or that he was still there? In June, my father said he wanted to redesign a friend's house. Big project. Good money, location. Not in Richmond. In New York. I think it will do you good, my father said. Go further. I moved that summer. The city crowds, the corporate energy. Nobody knew my story. Nobody said, "Oh, are you the girl who got cheated on her wedding night?" Nobody knew. Being anonymous was a kind of healing. At first, everything seemed under control. It gave the impression of a smoothly progressing process. However, small disruptions damaged this perception. Some decisions were made hastily. This haste left traces behind. No one wanted to talk about these traces, but they couldn't be ignored either. Over time, these details came to the forefront. I was no longer observing events superficially. I realized I needed to proceed more carefully and cautiously. My first projects were great. I kept getting better. The company wanted to make me a partner. The money was increasing. My work was increasing. And I was transforming what I started with in terms of behavior into what I was achieving. 9 months later, my father called. His voice was strange, tense. "I saw Sienna," he said. "Yes?" I said in a neutral voice. "In Richmond?" I saw him with a broken arm in the library. "He works there as a chauffeur." "Richmond, he's still there." "Okay," I said. "And Marcus, you may have heard." "What did I hear?" "She lives with someone else's friend. I mean, she's the third girl. Men are men, you know." I felt something. Feelings with no way out. Then they disappeared. Maybe it didn't belong to me anymore. It was December, snowing in New York, and I was working in the office. It was late. The project was nearing completion. My phone rang. An unknown number. "Yes," I said. "Victoria, this is Deneen Warren. You don't know me, but I know you. We heard about you from your father, and I see you in the design world. Your portfolio is fantastic. Would you like to join us? Not where we found you, but where we're building you." Deneen Warren started a design company, an international warehouse, big money. I knew this because I asked everyone about it. "Yes," I said, and I immediately turned around and repeated it. "Yes." In February, I was working in one of the most beautiful offices in New York. Complex projects, real budgets. Designs were appearing in magazines around the world. Advertisements poured in, interviews, my story. Young designer. From rock to Palmas, B began. Someone asked, "Are you married?" "No," I said. I learned it. No one asked more deeply. I didn't give in. Holding on to it was one of my strengths, my voice, my story, my pain. I didn't make it public. I received a message from my former roommate. She said Sienna had closed a social media account. I was curious why. Then, at the end of the summer, something completely unexpected happened. A law firm found me at a presentation by their research company. They wanted to meet with me. It was about design companies within the construction industry that are founded and managed by women. In the presentation, I did the talking. I talked about how I design, what I think about colors, and how the end of marriages makes you an architect. Then I stopped at a man. He arrived after the conversation. "That's a beautiful thing to say," he said. "But I'm curious about something. Did you rebuild after you were broken, or did you break in order to build?" I paused. "I don't know," I said realistically. "They're both the same thing," he said and left. It was uncertain, but perhaps true. In December, I ran into an old friend from Richmond, Jenna, the kind who stays outside our circle and just observes. She gave me a hug. "I saw you in Love," he said, "in a magazine. You've really mastered your craft." "Thank you," I said. "And I was displeased with your husband." There was something very clearly written in his eyes. Something bad. In my mind, I saw him. That night, his shirt undone, his face frightened, looking at me in a way that showed he didn't want to see me. Yes, it was a bad sight. "I saw Sienna too," Jenna said. She works as a barista downtown. I've never seen anyone look worse in my life. I didn't know if this was true, but it felt real. The year drew to a close. I kept a list of the projects I had completed. 47 homes, 12 businesses, 3 corporate spaces. Each one a story of a color palette. Each one a story of a choice. Sienna's name was still in my phone contacts. Maybe I should have deleted it. Maybe it would have been too quick a disconnect. I thought about deleting it for a week, but I didn't. Gala in New York. Designers, architects, people. I wanted to speak. I stopped. I spoke. I smiled. I spoke because I wasn't special. Just because we were one of a kind. A man approached me. His name was David. He wasn't a designer. He was an architect, but in the field of architecture. Construction, buildings, cities. Would you like to dance with me? He said. Was this normal? Yes. Why did she ask? Because I seemed to be alone with her. We danced, and she didn't question me. She just danced. I might fall in love with you, David said when the dance was over. If you love me too. I stopped. You should try not to fall in love with me, I said. I'm not trustworthy. Why? He asked simply. Because only those who love me will change me. Maybe, he said. Or maybe you'll change them too. That's what relationships are all about. It was something very simple but very true. It was as if it was trying to soothe me, saying that nothing that had hurt me that night could truly calm me. In January, Danene called me. A big project came up. In London, 6 months. Completely for me. Do you want to go? He said. Yes, I said. Yes, I want to go. David said to me, Do you know you'll come back? I'm sure, I said. Good, he said. Because I'll be staying here. I went to England. Design details, some for aesthetics, some for aesthetics. Then there were the structures. I didn't know anyone. Everyone had to tell me their names. Being new was strange but good. In May, I was sitting in London having a coffee when my phone rang. An unknown number. But I recognized it. Richmond code. It was Marcus. I won't answer, I said loudly, as if I needed to announce my decision to the outside world. But then he called, again. Please, she said in her voice message. Just a little bit. I called back. Victoria, he said, his voice hoarse. I just wanted to know if... No, I said. But, no, Marcus. There are no buts. Then I didn't stay silent. He might have wanted to hear it. Can you believe it? Even after 3 years, I still wanted to hear it. A little bit. Did you choose too many for me? She asked. Both. What's the answer to that question? Yes. But saying that was something very close to happening. I didn't know I wanted to destroy you, he said. It's just... I found pleasure in breaking you. I can't forget that. That was the most horrifying thing I'd heard that year. If he was saying it openly, it meant he himself believed in the harm he was causing. If you want to talk to someone else, I said and hung up the phone. Then I blocked him. All his numbers, social media, everything. Because harm can sometimes be a very well-meaning network, and I had to get rid of him. In June, I invited David to London. I don't know if he was ready, but he came. He looked at the design project, the colors, the textures, the choices. This is you, he said. What do you mean? I said. The light. You need light to see the truth. But you are just the light itself. People see that. I didn't quite understand it, but I was grateful he'd lifted me up. I returned to Richmond at the end of February. The people who knew David recognized me, but in a different way. Successful, oh my God, look at you, he did this. I was so proud, my mother said. For what? I asked. Because you learned to choose, yourself. Never thought of it this way. I received an invitation to Sienna's wedding in January. Yes, that's all. It wasn't coercion, not in a harsh way. I simply saw it on social media. She was marrying another man, a designer, from another city, another life. I congratulated him. It wasn't personal, just a little text in the statement, a press emoji. He didn't respond. I sensed that. But part of it was on my part. I was done too. The last project was in Richmond, a doctor's house. The color? When I asked that, brilliant, he said. So clear, so very clear. It's like everything is just beginning. Let's do this. Bright yellow wall, light blue, orange details, real bold, defiant. She cried when the doctor looked at her. This is me, she said. Is this really me? That could be you, I said. If you want. David came to my office on the last day. Are you going back to New York? He said. Yes, I said. But I will visit you. I know you'll do this, he said. Because you're following your own choice. Richmond, I was a different person. Not because of my past, but despite my past, I was living a new way. What was happening wasn't part of an established pattern. Each new step challenged the previous one. This questioning changed my perspective on events. Some reactions were different than expected. This difference influenced the direction of the process. People's actions became more decisive than their words. This situation focused my attention on specific points. The possibility of coincidence had weakened. There seemed to be an unplanned order at play, and I knew this order would have consequences. Today I am 35 years old and I own my own design firm in Richmond. Chen and Partners is written on the door. But that partnership isn't just David, it's him and me. And a little bit about the design of this city where I find myself. The wedding night was almost 7 years ago. It feels like she's in another life now. But everything I've built since that night, this office, this success, this peace came from her. Not just from breaking, but from her decay. Marcus's name. He's nowhere to be seen on social media, and no one in my circle of friends is talking about him. I heard a rumor about Sienna's new marriage after all this time, but I didn't feel the need to investigate further. She's outside my world and that's enough. But something strange happened yesterday. I was working in an office, a large social center. Conservation colors, furniture, a very important project. My AI assistant, David, found an article about me in a newspaper, titled From Broken Girl to Architect's Star. I read it. It's painful, true, incomplete, because no one will ever get the full story. Only a limited perspective, a snippet taken from the title. But the writer, a girl who won't be named, found me, did some research and asked for an interview. I refused, but I opened up a little in my response. If you ask me what the meaning of the wedding night is anymore, I would say I thought of that night as a trap with no way out. In reality, the way out was always there. I just didn't see it. This quote was in the article. When I read this to David, he said, "Is that true?" "Yes," I said, "because I really did die that night. But then I was reborn." David left early in the afternoon, leaving me alone. I sat in the office watching Richmond from the window. The revamped design firm, new architects, young ideas. This city is changing, so am I. The phone rang. Unknown number. "Yes," I said. "Are you Victoria Chen?" A woman's voice asked. "Yes. I'm Denise. I'm not related to him. I'm an old friend. And I'm so embarrassed to be calling you, but..." I stopped. "Yes?" "Marcus is sick, very sick. He's in the hospital, and he's looking for you. Every day. For you, only you." I didn't say anything for an hour, then, "Why are you telling me?" "Because I know what he went through. What happened with Sienna, how he was affected afterward. I think a single mistake shouldn't define a person for the rest of their life." "Really?" I said. "Because I was defined." "I know," said Denise. "And I'm so sorry. But he's getting a long punishment. How much more do you want?" I hung up the phone. I spoke to David that night. "Marcus is in the hospital," I said. "Do you need to go?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. Nobody ever taught me anything like that. David remained silent, then asked, "What is the meaning of survival?" "I don't know," I said. "Tell me. As a girl, you see that you're living well. You see that you're a good person. And to do that, you don't have to see another person and forgive them. But maybe, just maybe, you need to forgive yourself for the break you see in them." Strangely, I wasn't sure if it made sense, but there was logic. The next day, I went to the hospital. Marcus was lying in bed, very thin. Perhaps I had never seen him so thin. His eyes were closed, but they opened when I quietly left. He recognized me. Yes, he recognized me. "Victoria," he said, his voice low. I sat down. I didn't say anything. "I'm very sick," he finally said. "I know," I said. She didn't take a question to say that. "I'm devastated by you. I'm the girl who did this. I once loved you." It took time to say it, but he said it. "I don't hurt you half as much as breaking you," I said. And after saying it, I realized it was true. The pain had now become nostalgia, a map. It wasn't a place I lived in, but a place I visited. "Will you forgive me?" he said. It was wrong of him to ask that, but I answered anyway. "Forgive yourself, Marcus." "I already did it." Then he left. 3 days later. There was no funeral because he didn't want one. There was just a memorial. I didn't go. But a week later, Sienna called me. "Hello," she said, her voice soft. "Hello," I said. I just wanted to know if you're doing well." "I'm fine," I said, and it was true. "I'm doing very well too," he said. "A new family, a new life. But I think of you, always." "Why?" I asked. "Because you forgave me. Even if you never forgave me." It was like a moment of sharing a strange secret, just reality, without a map between them. "I forgive myself," I said. "Not to be against myself, not against you. For my own sake." We hung up the phone. It didn't end well, but it didn't start well either. It was just something that ended. Something quite unusual happened. There was a new client at the door, young, maybe 22, looking very frightened. "I want to design my own house," she said. "But I'm scared, because I'm afraid of making choices." We sat down at the table. "Making choices is scary," I said. "But not making choices is even scarier. Let me tell you something. When I failed to choose, my life was shattered. But then I learned to choose, and I built it." "How?" said the girl. "Start by choosing the colors quite definitively," I said. "Yellow, blue, red. Start from the basics. Make the fundamental decisions, then build." She smiled. "Yellow," she said. "So yellow? Like the sun." "Great," I said. "Do it." At 6 o'clock, David arrived. He hugged me. "How was your day?" he asked. "Great," I said. "It went well." We went to our house, the house I designed, the place where I chose the colors. At sunset, the walls were bathed in orange and yellow light. In the frame, David and I, me and life. Beautiful, like a bulletin board. "You deserved it," said David. "I know," I said. Finally. For me, the wedding night wasn't just a moment. It was the moment of opening a door. A very painful door, very heavy, but when it opened, there was light in its skin. Now I live in this light every day. And I know there's another girl, another woman, another employee, in the same hallway, in the same vulnerability, not knowing what she'll see when the door opens. What should I say to her? Nothing. Because everyone needs to find their own light. But I will say this, forgive. Forgive yourself. Focus on your new life, not your old one. Because what breaks is often the result of something being built. My story, Victoria Chen's story, is not this. This was just the beginning. For a long time after what happened, I didn't want to talk about it. Even though it seemed like everything was over, its effects lingered. It wasn't possible to understand everything immediately. It took time for some emotions to settle. During this process, I tried not to make hasty decisions. Looking back, I realized how much it changed me. I started approaching things more carefully. I accepted that some things weren't as they were initially described. This acceptance was harder than I expected, but it was also calming. I learned that not every question has a clear answer. Despite this, I didn't think what happened was worthless. On the contrary, every detail carried meaning. This story showed me that silence is also a form of expression. Some truths aren't spoken aloud, but they make themselves felt over time. That's how these events were remembered. And at this point, what needed to be told was complete.